going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Isles Talk. This is season 7, episode 10. This one's entitled Division or Conference Playoffs. This is going to be a little fun one tonight. Gary is out. Gary's in the financial district. So it's tax season. So Gary's going to be gone for at least this week, and we'll see how the rest of the schedule goes for January. Good evening, Charles. Thank you for sharing this show before I saw that. So greatly appreciate it. So listen, uh, this has been on my mind now for a little while, and a lot of fans have been asking me, you know, what do I think? What do I think? What do I think? What do I think? Every time the Islanders win a big game, um, like against Minnesota or Colorado or something else like that. And I've taken a step back this year because I don't want to think. This is not a year to think. And this year, specifically in the NHL, with all of the standings going on, it's weird, but it's not something we haven't seen before. We have seen it before, but you have to go back 14, 15 years, the last time this happened. So, and this is going to have implications for the Islanders moving forward, um, and for every NHL team, probably for the next decade or so. And I'm quite serious about it. And I, for me, I'm gonna try to have you guys back up a little bit when it comes to making trades, making room in the cap space, to try to make that one big trade. Um, it might be. I know you're not a big fan of Drew. We'll talk about him later. Um, is it really a heartbreaking loss? Did the Islanders really lose ground? No, they didn't. And that's what I'm going to get into tonight, folks. And this is where I think things, hopefully by the end of tonight, you're going to have a different perspective because not every win is going to be a big win. Not every loss is going to be a huge loss anymore. I don't think that's going to be the case. Angie, welcome. Long time no see, hon. So this is just, it's an open discussion. There's going to be a lot of thoughts flying through here. Um, but strap in. Let's have a good time with this. And this is an open discussion. For those of you who have already commented on Facebook, thank you. A lot of you want that 1 through 8 conference playoffs again. Um, and I understand where you're coming from, but there's going to be a catch to that now. I don't know if that's going to be possible. So let's set up a little bit of the criteria here. This is always going to be about the money. It's always going to be about the money. The playoff format right now, the way the NHL has it, is a huge moneymaker. Okay. Getting number 2 and number 3 seed in each division, battling it out in the first round is a big money draw. There's no way to deny it. I don't think the NHL is going to change it until something, unless it's absolutely drastic or there's another way to improve to make the money. Okay. We get that. But I think they're going to have to change it at some point, um, especially if the players want that as well. The other topic is injuries still, can still play a role. Hello, Florida Panthers of a few years ago. Hello, Florida Panthers this year. Okay. You have those, teams that finish off in the 7th or 8th spot in the conference or in the wild card, but they were supposed to be better. Okay. Hello, Los Angeles Kings. And I'll show you guys that in a minute. The Los Angeles Kings back in 2012 were the 8th place team and they ended up winning. So things like that can happen. Okay. The other thing moving forward, most talent for your cap. This is the first time, folks, that, you can legally win. You can legally win. All right. Well, do legally win a Stanley Cup with a $95 million payroll with a cap. This is going to be the first year. Okay. The last team to do it was the 21-22 Colorado Avalanche. They were only over their cap, I think, for a little while of like $800,000, which basically means one minor league player over the cap. Okay. Why am I bringing that up as well? Because Islander fans, if you remember, I believe it was the year we lost to Tampa during the COVID Cup run, and I believe our next opponent would have been Montreal. The Islanders were actually cap compliant that season. Tampa Bay brought in Kucherov, and that got Tampa $9 million over the cap. They ended up beating us, and Tampa went on to win their second. I believe they went on to win the cup against Montreal. So staying cap compliant right now is going to be that. Charles, I kind of like the divisional playoffs the way they are right now, and I'll get into that. Okay, so let's talk real quick. You're going to have your options here, divisions or conference playoffs, but I want to take you guys back in time real quick. Why have I been so concerned about this season? Well, it's kind of like this. This was 2012, the 2011-2012 season standings. Okay. And we had said before that we haven't really seen this in a very long time or not at all. And I was wrong. Okay. Folks, that's the standings of the 2011-2012 team. Seems fairly right. 92, 92 points to get into the playoffs, right? But look at Montreal down here on the bottom, 78 points. Folks, we're on a pace to do that this year to some effect. Okay. Look at the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers are 94 points and they were a minus 24. The Tampa Bay Lightning somehow recorded 84 points and they were a minus 45, 46. Look at that. The Carolina Hurricanes were 82 points and they were a minus 30. Go figure. And the Islanders somehow survived 79 points with a minus 52. That's where we are right now. That's how unpredictable a lot of this stuff can be. And from what I've been getting told, this this is probably it, the way it is for like the next decade. I'll get into more details like that later on. But if you go into the playoffs, guys, if you don't do the division, and back then they did the 1 through 8 conference, this is what happens. Thank you, Wikipedia, by the way. 1 versus 8, the Rangers won. Washington upset Boston 4 games to 3. New Jersey upset Florida. Philadelphia upset Pittsburgh. And then you see Los Angeles making that run as the 8th seed. St. Louis doing their thing. Phoenix taking care of Chicago. And Nashville doing their thing. So, yeah, just because you're the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed, again, doesn't mean you're going to win it. But, there were pros and cons to that. Now, if they had done the division, not much really changes here. Rangers would still play Ottawa. Boston would still play Washington. Florida would be there. I don't know if Philly would be there. I think you would have seen like New Jersey and Pittsburgh going at it. Some other team from the other division would have been in there. So let's move ahead forward now. You're in today's game. You have the Colorado Avalanche as your number 1 team in the Western Conference. You've got the Dallas Stars number 2 in that conference, and you have the Minnesota Wild at number 3. The Stars and the Wild are going to go at it in that first round. That makes for great TV ratings. But as far as the competitiveness, it might be gone after the first round. But here's my problem with the 1 through 8. Okay. If you take the three worst teams in each division, okay, the Pacific Division is on pace for 75 points. Your Ducks, Flames, and Canucks, as of right now, they're the bottom three. They've got a combined record of 57, 69, and 12. And that's a pace for 75 points. If you take a look at the Central, you've got the Hawks, Blues, and Jets. They have a combined record of 55, 63, and 20, which is a pace for 77. So, is it a fair statement to say that, yes, the Avs, Stars, Wild are doing so well because of a crappy division? Yes. There's a little more balance between Vegas, Oilers, the Kraken, and even the Sharks. But Vegas looks like it's pulling away. But again, the Pacific Division, it's almost over. You want to reward the Avs, the Stars, and the Wilds for being in a shitty conference. Let's just get it out of the way. Why? And this has been my worry this second half of the season. What playoff teams, what savvy veteran teams are just coasting their way into the playoffs? This is a new NHL, folks. This is a new NHL, but it's kind of like going back in time here 15, 20, 30 years ago. There's no challenge for these teams. None. And what happened 15 years ago, 20 years ago, even? You had President's Trophy winners winning the Stanley Cup. Goes back to 87 to 99. You had President Cup trophy winners winning the Stanley Cup at the same time. I think that's going to happen this year. Now, let me flip that over. You go to the Metro Division, they have a combined record of 63, 61, and 15. They're on pace for 83 points. That's above NHL 500. You go to the Atlantic is nuts. As of this conversation, Boston, Florida, and Ottawa were the last three teams in the Atlantic Division. Folks, they're on pace for 91 points. They're on pace for 91 points, and that's the bottom of the Atlantic. The Colorado Avalanche's record is 33, 4, and 8. Guess what their record is in the Atlantic Division? 7, 3, and 1. 3 out of their 4 losses have come in the Atlantic Division. Do the math, that puts them on pace right where Tampa Bay is right now. See, I'm going to go a different route here. I don't think it's going to be the kiss of death anymore, Charles. I don't. What does Colorado have to do? You go 1 through 8 in this conference, they have everything set up. They've got everything going for them. This is the team on a budget. This was the last team to win a cup on a budget. Right. Yes, the Islanders beat Colorado, but you get my point. Are the records really congruent with what they're doing? Okay. Move this over to the Islanders for a minute. If we were to go 1 through 8 again, and Angie said this perfectly, this is the segue. Have to keep injuries to a minimum heading into the playoffs, and that's with every team. And that's what bothers me with this season so far. Washington has been injured. Pittsburgh is just getting injured now. The Leafs are starting to come back. The Florida Panthers are getting healthy. Does anybody really know what the heck is going to happen? Absolutely not. If we were to go back to the 1 through 8, the Islanders right now, their first round opponent from last night's standings would be the Detroit Red Wings. If we go by the divisional playoffs, you're looking at the Philadelphia Flyers. I'd probably take my chances with the Philadelphia Flyers. As of this conversation, again, we're 45 games in. Yes, the loser points really skew things, but it's a good way to keep everyone in it longer. More money for the league, yes. And if we were to go to a 3 point system, guess what? We are going back to eliminating teams by game 30, by game 40. No doubt. We are back to that. I don't think the league wants to do that. This is also true. There wasn't much movement on the roster during those years. Salary cap has ruined the league as a whole. Now there's money to play with, but there's no movement going on, Leo, because everyone's winning. That's what you want. All right. Fair. Fair enough, Michael. Okay, well played. But again, to Angie's point, they lost Sirkin, they lost Adam Fox. Yes, you can make that educational assumption that the Rangers are not going to make it, but I don't think the Rangers are going to go down quietly either. Um, and that's I have a problem with the Rangers, especially coming up in a couple of weeks. If they don't have anything to play for, I don't want to play the Rangers. Something about that series bothers me, but that's for another topic. Okay. If you go 1 through 8, is it really a fair assessment? No. But the way Colorado's doing everything right now in that Western Conference, they should be able to cruise by everybody. And then with Tampa, who's in the heart of division, they may not be able to make it. And then you may have to go through Carolina or Washington or whoever's in the Metro Finals. It's going to be a tougher one. We have entered that spot right now where yes, offense is key. It's not going to be so much defense. But Colorado has set themselves up to win the President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup because that's how the league is designed is right now with the playoff standings, even the way it is. So moving forward, do I have it here? I do. Should there be a new playoff format? Should there be a new playoff format? If you guys want 1 through 8, you can't keep the divisions. You can keep the divisional schedule to keep the players and the owners happy, so that way the travel stays down. But if you want 1 through 8, you have to do one of two things. You have to have a play-in round for teams 9, 10, maybe even 11 and 12, depending on their record. Because as we're looking at it right now, the Florida Panthers are on pace for 93 points. They're not going to be in the playoff spot. Yes, the NHL, the end of the season is part of their playoffs. I get that. Players won't want that eventually. And that may change. That may change when Gary Bettman is no longer when he's no longer the commissioner. The other thing you could do, and here's something I was thinking about, and I was talking with some other friends of mine. What if we did something like the college football rankings, where we took the relative strength, not necessarily the schedule, because we're all playing that same schedule, but you know, what if there was the power rankings? What if they changed the power rankings for each conference to make it more suitable to get those games a little more meaningful? It's like we said before, injuries play a role. But when Boston in that first round played Florida in that first round, some of us had Florida winning because that was an injured team. Maybe playing injured teams, you don't get like a certain amount of points or whatnot. Maybe things need to be voted by the coaches. Maybe there needs to be another panel to vote in or give out a ranking like they do in college. Don't need to play 2 games every year against every out of conference team. Um, I don't know. I kind of enjoy watching Connor McDavid on this side every once in a while. Okay, there's going to be, and again, because of the college free agency, because of the CHL players going to college to better the development, even when expansion happens, there's going to be a solid 10, maybe even 12 teams who could be good enough for the playoff spot. But you have to have a system ready for that. Yeah, I'm going to do that as a final thought, Robert. That's a long one. I and that's where I'm going with this whole thing. Ah, normally I would agree. I don't think the players want that. I don't think the coaches want that. I don't even think fans would want that because you bring back the red line like you did back in 15, 16 years ago. Your goals are going to go down. I don't think that's going to be it. 116 in each conference? Maybe. Maybe. Is there a relative strength to it? I think the league has to get a better idea as to where some of these teams are. Like, let's say, for example, the Florida Panthers. Are they really a 93-point team? No, they're probably better than that. Stop rewarding mediocrity. Are we talking 1 through 16 throughout the entire league or the conference? Because you're leaving money on the table here. 1 through 16. That seems to be a popular one with you guys because this is no longer a sport, it's a business. There you go. League is too busy to expand. Top 16 league wide. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. As much as I appreciate it, and most of the time it is league wide either. The Calgary Flames, I think last year were ranked 15th and they didn't make the playoffs. And again, we used to do that. Let me rephrase that. The Islanders used to do that in the 80s. I think they played Edmonton in the playoffs a couple of times. That travel, they don't want to do back and forth traveling in the first or second rounds like that. That won't work. Okay, we're entering a time now where if you have 12 teams vying for a spot, do you give off more openings? Farm system that can come up this season? Maybe. Who are you looking for? Winger, defenseman? Not in center, not really. All right. Played the Fires in the first cup that way. And again, for this season only, the Olympics are going to play a factor. There's no doubt about it. Okay. But the NHL is changing. The NHL is changing and it's going back to a time where a lot of teams are still in it, moving into games 50 or 60. Okay. But this time you're going to need the offense to do it. Yaviznika doing well, doing well. Again, he's already been drafted. Let's see if he can get to the American League. He should be there. I don't have any worries about him. Okay. Here's the final thought on changing the standings. Okay. Especially for this year. And I have to emphasize this to you guys because we are going back in time. We here at Isles Talk hate to criticize or tell fans that they're wrong because we always love their opinions. Most of the time, you guys are spot on. Okay. For this year, you're doing it wrong. If you are already calculating the cap to find out what kind of a trade you can make, you're doing it wrong. If you're trying to find a way to bolster your team, you're doing it wrong. If you're trying to still sell off Anders Lee and JG Pajot, you're doing it wrong. This season is not to do it. It's literally to kick back and watch. You can't. What do you have, Michael? What do the Islanders have? And that goes back to the cap. Okay. Do you want to put Kyle Palmieri on there? Okay. That still leaves you with 6 million, give or take. It's going to cost you prospects. It's going to cost you the 2 first-round picks, and it's probably going to cost you Danny Nelson. And I know you guys were, you didn't like the Winnipeg loss. You didn't like the Buffalo losses. If you're thinking about the Islanders playing down to their teams, you're doing it wrong this year. There's really no bad team, according to these standings, because you have 3-on-3 overtime. You're going to get that point. And I completely understand where some Islanders, where I've had phenomenal talks with Islander fans saying, look, when was the last time we were in second place? When was the last time we had a shot for second place? Why not go for it? Because this is such a weird year. Might be a marginal player. Name me another centerman that we have waiting. You have nobody after Nelson. Nobody. You guys already know my feelings about Cal Ritchie coming up. You're down to Nelson, guys. That's my other point. There's no one else in that center position after Nelson. That's a different topic. That's a different topic, and that would probably be at the trade deadline. If they want a shot for a cup, okay, you're acknowledging you're gonna give them their request. I don't see that happening. Actually, I don't think anybody sees that happening. You could, or you can keep them all down in Worcester and continue to build up the depth, which is something this organization is lacking. Still, possibly, possibly, but is Matthew Darsh really ready to trade the future for the present? Knowing the fact that you may have to go through Tampa Bay, You may have to go through Carolina. You may have to go through Washington. And let's put it to you this way, guys. If the 1 through 8 format was here and now, the Islanders would be in fifth place. You have the Red Hot Sabres. You have the Penguins who are injured, but they're going to stick around. The Leafs are now starting to win. Boston is coming back. Washington is getting healthy. Florida is getting healthy. The Islanders could finish up a season with 94 points and not make the playoffs because it's 1 through 8. Bingo. Oh, they did. Yes, that's right. He should have stayed in London to begin with, Angie. But I think you know I said that at the beginning of the year. He should have spent the entire season in London. Yeah. That's going to be part of my end of the season preview. Excuse me, my end of season review. But that's yes. I already had the end of the season done. Believe it or not, it's very simple. It's very easy. Um, Schaefer's a part of it, but there's another factor in there that I'm not going to spoil for you guys. There's another factor involved in that. Not worth giving up. Right. Yeah. No. I have said this before on the show, Angie. Other teams, they want our farm system. We just got it. They want our farm system. That's what it's going to take to make a big splash. But again, going back to this one in the new NHL, most talent for your cap. That includes your prospects. That includes your first rounders. If you're looking to play armchair GM this year, you're doing it wrong. I have been waiting patiently for games 50, maybe even 60 now, to see where the Islanders are, just to see how healthy this organization is. I'm not worried about the loss to Minnesota. I'm not worried about the lucky win against Minnesota. Because let's face it, Minnesota literally scored more goals than we did. There are some glaring issues with the Islanders, but then there are also some phenomenal stuff with the Islanders. But this is a league now that's going back in time, almost 14, 15 years, where everybody is in it through games 50 and 60. And like someone mentioned before, there was no room. They're now all on a budget because you can't go over your cap unless you have a player who is injured for the entire season, including the playoffs. And this is why Colorado is right back where they were 4 years ago. Rocky's doing fine. Rocky's losing to the Charlotte Checkers. He's losing to the Providence Bruins. He's losing to Wilkes-Barre Scranton. Okay. There's one more in there. Okay, he's losing not only to the top teams in the division, but he's losing to the top teams, the top 10 teams in the entire league. The team is fine. They need more depth, which I believe they got. Nothing has been actually confirmed yet. Uh, but I like the fact that the Islanders are doing something to help out their minor league team as well. Yes, Angie. They're going to start. That's when they're going to make their big push. So physical play will pick up. That's been my concern. How many teams have just been floating around until after the playoffs? This is what happened when everyone was going through the 1 through 8 playoff format. Some of them were just floating around, waiting for the playoffs, and the regular season was okay. It was okay. But again, 1 through 8, you could float around for quite a few months before you really did something. And this Olympic break is the perfect example. Agreed. Agreed. And healthy players too. Not playing 16 rookies in a season. That also helped. I'm happily shocked, Michael. I will go in a solid 8. Again, I've said this on the show before. Randy Workman is, my go-to with when it comes to the Calgary Flames, and I remember Rittich when he was on the Calgary Flames and he was lights out. I had asked Randy at the beginning of the season. I was intrigued with the signing. I said, if we get a Calgary Flames Rittich, how good could we be? And I quote, "You're going to be good." That came out of Randy's mouth. So, am I happily shocked? Yes. Am I completely, totally surprised? No. But for those of you who don't know me, I don't watch preseason. Gary literally has to drag me across the floor with my nails digging in order for me to get to watch preseason hockey. I don't watch it. I was never worried about Rittich during the preseason. If I can make it, Charles, I will be there. Yeah. Yeah, they're going to want everybody. Drafts and patience, yes. Yes. And again, that's going to be part of the season ending show to go along with it here. But Islander fans may not have to be as patient as we once thought of, and that might be because of Matthew Schaefer. But again, that's going to be several shows down the line here. I'm not counting on making the playoffs. I think trading to make them is a waste. Develop repeat prospects. Robin, I'm a Gen Xer. Okay. I don't care if the Islanders miss the playoffs this year. I don't care if they make the playoffs this year. My main concern for this team, because of the plague that hit this team last year, is this. Is this an 87 to 92 point team? Bare minimum by the trade deadline. That's it. Is this an 87 to 92 point team by the trade deadline? If they are, wonderful. For me, that's a successful season because of all the injuries that happened last year. What Matthew Darsh does after that, go for it. It's gravy. And look at what happened to the NHL this year. Everybody's in it. You're not going to be able to look back and say, oh, this loss killed us. Oh, this loss killed us. No. Did the Islanders lose ground losing to Winnipeg? No. Are the Islanders going to be out of a playoff hunt? No. Yes, if you go, okay, we're also in the second half of the season. For those of you who have been following the show, number one, thank you. But I've been saying this before. After game 40, it is about the losses in regulation. If you start to have a 3, 4, 5 game losing streak in regulation, then you're in trouble. If the Islanders go on a 4 or 5 game losing streak, then we're going to have a completely different conversation. I don't see that happening. Not when you have Sorokin, not when you have Rittich. Agreed. Agreed. And I'll go a step further with you, Angie. It's to see if some of these prospects can actually play in the KHL because that's exactly what NHL preseason hockey is. It's the KHL hockey. It's the KHL. That's what you get in the NHL preseason. But that's a perfect way to see how your prospects are faring. Bingo. Bingo. But it's not just for the Islanders right now. It's also for the Penguins. It's also for the Leafs. It's for the Washington Capitals. This year has been so rough to try to analyze, think, overthink anything because of injuries. And the problem that we're all going to have is that this is going to continue. This is the new NHL. You could literally have a couple of 90-point teams moving forward and not make the playoffs. That's where we're at. That's why I think the playoff format may have to change to adjust to allow some of these teams a shot, at least to have something going on. 3-0 Sabres. Look out for the Sabres. I don't know if I said it on the show. I know I said it to Randy, but again, being a bowler, just because you rolled a 300 doesn't mean it counts, especially if you didn't do it in the league. Okay. Um, I remember talking to Randy again, and I think Brush was there. I had Buffalo making the playoffs, but because I didn't say it on the show, it technically doesn't count, especially with what they're doing now. Again, Leo, I'm with you to a degree. I understand that and whatnot. Oh, look who came back. You did come back. Yeah, maybe we won't see you in the playoffs. Again, I would love to renew that rivalry. I'm not gonna lie, I love watching the Legion of Doom against the Devils back way back when. Those are some fun hockey times. Okay. I didn't particularly care who won, but that was some great hockey back then. Um, I'm barely old enough to remember the 80s Islanders and 80s Flyers and Island battle way back when, but for me it was always the Legion of Doom in Philly. But I think the Flyers are going to have a difficult time moving forward, or at least staying where they are, because there are other teams now getting healthy, and it's just going to be a battle all the way through. But for this year only, you have to see where the Islanders are. If they can remain healthy, then you can make some more moves in the offseason. And I think moving forward, I think a lot of the moves, that Darsh is going to have to make, I think they're going to be more in the offseason than the regular season. I don't think that's going to be able to do it, especially if everyone is so close starting next season again. Don't worry about Michkov. I'm telling you now, don't worry about Michkov. I've seen plenty of his games. It's an adjustment period for you guys. Don't worry about it. Okay. The fact that your team is still in it as well, run with this. Okay. That's where I'm at with this conference, folks. That's why I have been laid back. That's why I have been doing more water cooler talk with you guys this year, and getting your opinions, getting your expressions out. Um, More on like an emotional side than anything analytical, overthinking or whatnot, because it is not worth it this year. Playing our armchair GM may be the absolute worst waste of your time moving forward. Um, sure, rumors are entertaining. It's nice to hear. Um, I it- Leo, I make could Tampa be the best team to beat in all of the NHL after what I showed you guys before? Is Tampa really the number one team? Don't get me wrong. I think Colorado again. If we go back to the mid '90s, where you had President's Trophy winners winning the cup, I think you're going to see that more often. Oh, ooh, combination. And I don't want to go too old school. I don't want the '80s Islanders or whatnot. Give me Ziggy Poffey on the wing. Give me Ziggy Poffey with Matt Barzell and Bo Horvat on one side. And I would probably go either Ray Ferraro or Pierre Turgeon. I'd even go Michael Pekka. I don't want Alexei Yashin. And you know what? I'm gonna go there. I John Tavares. John Tavares on this second line right now. Yeah, John Tavares on this second line right now at his cap hit at 4.5. Ooh, maybe. Just maybe. I think he'd make Jonathan Drouin a better winger. I think all those centers would make him better. Yeah, Pekka. All right, let's put it. Let me be a little more specific here, Robin. 2002, Michael Pekka. 2002, Michael Pekka. The Islanders need a winger. They need a centerman. Um, the sixth defenseman, I'm okay with. Um, I think that's still a work in progress. I think it's always going to be a work in progress for now. Oh, I know Markel, by the way. Um, Believe it or not, Mark Howe still runs 5 miles every day. His legs are like tree trunks. I have a picture on my phone. I'd show it to you guys, but it would take too long. I love Mark Howe. Um, Pronger or Lindros? Probably Pronger. Let Michkov grow. Yeah, Ziggy was a man, no doubt. Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna combine this one. Is if there's someone in the minors, Alex Jeffries can put up 3 goals in the NHL. He could take over Jonathan Drouin's spot. Matthew Maggio could put up 3 goals in the NHL and replace Jonathan Drouin. The thing I haven't liked about Maggio, and some of you can correct me on this, Maggio taking a hit still worries me a little bit. Alex Jeffries can take a hit. He could be better at it too. But Maggio, when he gets hit, mm, I don't know. But could both of them put up 3 goals in the NHL right now? Yes. Turgeon and Hogue for the joy, but you guys are understanding where I'm going from here. You can pick a center, you can pick a winger. That's pretty much what we're going for. Steve Thomas would be phenomenal as well. I'm not disagreeing with this. George is ready, but George has only played 3 games since his injury. Okay. Let him play another 3 games. And let me also add this as well. He had yes, he did have 3 points in 3 games, but it was against Hartford. When Maggio, when George has been playing this season, he's been very good. And yes, getting 3 points against Hartford, you should be able to do that. Okay. I just want him to shake off a little more rust. Just shake off a little more rust. And if the Islanders were to call him up for that Saturday game against Buffalo, okay, run with it. Why not? Okay. Again, it's that shortened season where you're not playing in the beginning of February. Give him another trial run. Okay. His stick work is there. Defensively, his stick work is there. I think for those of you who have seen him, you guys already know. Yeah, Maggio doesn't take a hit well. Physically wise, I don't know if it's part of his game, but he's been decent. Ugh, Michael. Honestly, I thought Hoseng was going to have a better career in the KHL. I thought his game was perfect for that. But we'll go from there. All right, folks. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Where are we going here? Water cooler talk time. Keep coming. Cheeto. Cheeto's been injured, I think. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Listen, has this been a fun season? No doubt. Has it been fun? Fun, exciting, whatever you want to call it? Yeah, it's a nice change of pace. The problem is, and this is something again, it's partly my own fault here, in the sense that I've been doing this for so long that in order to get the information right for you guys, I have to pull the fandom of myself out and a little bit more of the NHL, and that's something Joe's taught me as well. Believe it or not, that's actually something Mark Howe has taught me as well. It's taking the fandom out of the show sometimes and bringing more of an NHL flavor to it. And I understand the fandom and the excitement and everything else, but at the same time, it's what are they doing compared to the rest of the NHL? And as of right now, everyone's still dancing, everyone's still singing, no one's really moving. I think Angie hit it spot on. After the Olympics, I think that's when our season's really going to kick in. Yeah, he did take a hit. I don't think it was life threatening, but that was a bad hit. Eiserman is doing Eiserman things. He has a, he's in college. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Again, World Junior Championships. Did he get to play the way I was hoping he would? No. Did he fulfill the role that he was supposed to play? Yes. Okay. Give him the time. All you need him to be is an average skater, average 200-foot player. That's your goal. He's going to have the shot. No to you. Absolutely no to you. Yes. Eiserman looks like another year away. I would probably go two. Give me a year in Bridgeport or Hamilton, wherever they end up. Maybe then bring him in. Yes. Yes. He did favor the Minnesota players. I like the idea that he did get bumped up the third line. I personally would have liked to see a little bit of time, at least in the opening rounds on first line, but that's me. But again, coach's decision. I'm not going to lie, Leo. I like the fact that the defensemen are close to averaging 30 points or more because that's exactly what Carolina does. And again, because you have Sorokin, you have Rittich, you can take that gamble. Okay. The thing for me, if and again, this goes back to this jersey right here. Okay, go back to that 08-09 season. DPHO went out with that injury for the rest of the year. Guess what? You got John Tavares. If DPHO was not injured, you don't get John Tavares. You're in the middle of the pack. Your goaltending this season is the same thing. Your goaltending will take you as far as the Islanders can go. Same season, same thing. Okay, they will go as far as as far as the goalies can take them. Question is, how many games will Sorokin play? Can he go that long? Okay, I saw that. Yeah, but again, Tampa Bay can afford to lose point at the moment. Not Team Canada, but if Point comes back for the playoffs, that's a trade deadline move. Here's what I have been told so far on Cairo and Thomas and everything else St. Louis. Everything is in St. Louis's court. St. Louis is kind of going the same route as everyone else. They don't want to play Colorado in the first round, but they're under contract for years. This new NHL, you can have new teams make the playoffs every year. You can have different teams make the playoffs every year. Okay. St. Louis may just want to pack it in this year and go for another shot next year. Okay. St. Louis has all the cards on that one. They make all the decisions and everything else. Have the Islanders probably called in? It's called due diligence. Why not? Okay. If a trade does happen, it's because St. Louis wants it. Everything's in St. Louis's end of in their zone. It's on theirs. You put JT with Lee and Drouin or Duclair? Yes, please. Yeah, yeah. JT can still do that, especially on this Islander team. Bingo. And unfortunately, this whole conference, the Eastern Conference, is like that right now. Okay. Again, Rangers, we can all agree, probably not. Okay. The Devils, I said this to my Devils fans. You trade Hamilton, watch their record go up. I think that's a locker room thing. But everybody else, Ottawa, yeah, Ottawa, I'm not sure about. Columbus can't keep a coach after a year. I don't know what the heck's going on with them. Those are drama teams. The Rangers, the Devils, Columbus. Those are drama teams at the moment. They've got their own. Actually, Ottawa's now thrown in there as a drama team. Those four teams, that's why they're in the bottom. They've got drama going on. But everybody else, Florida, Washington, Boston, Leafs, they were all injured. Kick back. If you want to relax, if you can relax, that's what you try to do. I know. Yeah, that's actually kind of funny. So, listen, boys and girls, I hate to cut this short, but unfortunately, I have an engagement I have to go to that I wasn't planning on. Um, Somewhat of an emergency, but if you want to revisit this sometime soon, we can. Love you guys. The Facebook groups, loyal Islander fans, the worldwide group, Drive for Five, All Things Islanders, Coffee Buzz, um, Bleed Blue and Orange, Real Islander fans, all of you guys on Facebook. Thank you so much for coming on. We do love you guys here. All right, well played, Angie. Well done. For those of you on X, please follow us on Isles Talk at on X. For those of you on Facebook, again, please like and follow us on Facebook that we can get all the notifications for when we come on. And for those of you on YouTube, if you which is also a great time on YouTube, hit and like the thumbs up button for the show, and please subscribe. The numbers have been going up. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal. Um, oh, Matthew, you're going to get cut off of that. Well done. Gary paid you for that one. Boys and girls, you're in a new NHL. How new? You're going back 15 years with all of these records. Nothing is predictable at this point. Watch. Favorite drink? Maybe two, maybe three. Don't stress over managing a cap. Don't stress about who's going to be out there. And this is the case where we act. Oh, good call there. This is the only this year. Only this year. Don't overthink. Don't overplan. Don't do it. This is not the year for it. I'm going to guide you guys heading into next season when this is all done and over with. The most important thing for this season, for the rest of this season, is how do the Islanders play up until the trade deadline. If they're in that 87 to 92 range, you had yourselves a good season, and we go from there because the rest is gravy. Next week, we'll see what time and what day we're going to be on. I know they've got games going on next week, so we'll plan everything out for you. If there's a topic you want, let us know in the comment section. We'll do it for you sometime. All right. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Let's go Islanders, and we'll see you sometime next week.